So guys, the wait is over. The Apple event took place yesterday and boy was it loaded. Now we can finally get off that hype train, but before we do, let's have a look at all the products that are coming our way one last time. Let's ramble.
Hold up, place go wild when I pull up. They all on me like it wants them.
Alright, so for the past 2 months, give or take, I have been updating you guys with the latest rumors of which products we might expect to see at the Apple event and what new features these products might have. Obviously, the rumor mill has screeched to a halt now, at least for now, and we know exactly what we're gonna get in the next couple of weeks. I have mixed feelings about some of the products, but overall, I'm pretty excited about what we saw yesterday, especially that iPad. That iPad. But we'll get to the iPad Pro in more detail later. Let's have a quick look at all the stuff we saw. Let's just start with the small stuff and work our way up to my precious. My precious. First off, some public service announcements. We're gonna have some upgrades to the Apple Card, and we are now allowed to give Apple money every month to listen to podcasts. Nobody cares, so let's move on to the more tangible stuff. It's springtime, and Apple believes this means purple. So if you don't own an iPhone 12 yet, or you have one but yours doesn't attract enough bees, you can now buy this hideous purple bastard to stick in your Hello Kitty purse. Just kidding, of course, to each their own, and if you're into purple and you're not afraid to rock it, more power to you. You can pre-order it from this coming Friday. Next up is the Apple TV. Now, I did an entire dedicated video on the rumors surrounding a new Apple TV, and there we saw a lot of sources telling us that Apple is gonna go full ham on gaming and that we will see a new controller as well, essentially making the Apple TV a gaming console of sorts. Sadly, that didn't happen, but what we did see is that Apple finally addressed the fact that everybody hated the pretty much useless Apple remote and replaced it with a much more functional Siri remote with a clickpad that also functions as a touchpad, so you can swipe to your heart's content. Personally, I really like the scrolling feature whereby you use your thumb to move back and forth in a video timeline. The Apple TV itself is 4K HDR and it is rocking the A12 Bionic chip, which is a big step up from the A10X Fusion chip, resulting in a much beefier device. My favorite new feature of the Apple TV is definitely that you can now use your iPhone to calibrate the colors, so that the videos you're trying to watch look exactly the way they were intended. Now, as someone that creates videos, I do really appreciate that feature because videos do tend to look very different on various screens, so this could definitely improve our viewing experience. It probably won't work on all the iPhones, but it will definitely work on the iPhone 12. Now, I know a lot of you guys will be happy about the AirTags finally making it onto the stage. Personally, I don't see what the fuss is about. I've been using tile trackers for years, and I'm not yet convinced about these AirTags being much better. Having said that, when Apple makes a product, you can assume it works very well and it will most certainly integrate seamlessly in the Apple ecosystem. The tags will be making use of the U1 chip, and that should result in pretty accurate tracking. Thankfully, we can all try them out without breaking the bank since Apple kept the prices surprisingly low at $29 for one or $100 for a pack of 4, which is very reasonable, and I will of course be ordering some to give you guys a proper review. And that reminds me, if you're not a subscriber, don't be shy to hit that subscribe button and tag along for the ride. Pun very much intended. And if you're feeling generous today, give the video a like, it really does help the channel. Alright, moving on to more exciting stuff. iMacs. Now this is a product we were not entirely sure we would see at this particular event, but we did see it and we saw it in many different colors. We did see only one size being the 24-inch model, which is replacing the current 21.5-inch model, and it will be rocking the M1 chip. It does look similar to the renders we've been seeing these past weeks, but sadly it doesn't have a bezel-less design. In fact, it still has that massive chin. But it is superbly thin, and that is all down to the efficiency of the M1 chip and the reduced need for heat dissipation. Without getting too technical, basically, we don't need a very large thermal envelope to deal with the heat, allowing for a much smaller chassis on the iMac. Some improvements have been made. We will now have a 1080p camera, which coupled with the software improvements is a big step up from the previous camera, but let's be honest, that thing was a potato, so improving that was hardly a challenge. Apparently, the downfiring speakers are better than ever, and so are the noise cancelling microphones, making this a great device for video conferencing. You can game on Apple Arcade and run iPad apps on your iMac. The screen is a 4.5K Retina display, which also offers True Tone. Very interesting is also the new power adapter that not only attaches magnetically, but it also houses the Ethernet port, which will help with cable management. That might not seem very exciting to some, but if you're a neat freak like me, every cable that can be placed out of sight is a good cable. The new iMacs also come with new colorful Magic Keyboards, including some features like Touch ID, which can be quite useful. We did a little live stream yesterday with my man Alex G Tech and Saranbyte. You can still check it out if you want, where we joked about the fact that the first gen iMacs were very much mom computers, you know, like low threshold, simple machines, and that the iMac has come a very long way since then. I have to say that this latest batch does feel like Apple is marketing these machines at moms again. Or as Alex would say, they belong on a fancy reception desk. Right, let's move on to what most of you came here for, the iPad Pro. If you've been to this channel before, you know that I did not expect to see the 12.9-inch version presented yesterday. I thought we would see the 11-inch, but not the 12.9-inch, which, let's be honest, is the real Pro. And let me tell you, never have I been this happy to be wrong. The 12.9-inch iPad definitely took center stage yesterday, and man, it did not disappoint. Let's have a look at what this beast has to offer before delving into each feature. 12.9-inch Liquid Retina XDR display, up to 2 terabytes of storage, and 16 gigs of RAMs. Up to 2 times faster storage, 5G, the Thunderbolt port I was hoping for so badly, and an M1 chip. Not an A14X or Z, a frickin' M1 chip. Mark Gurman told us that the chip would be on par with the M1 chip, but this is just it. It's the real thing. It's the actual M1 chip. Imagine the power we're getting with that chip combined with 16 gigs of RAM, all in the iPad's slim body. It's mind-blowing, and it strengthens my belief that we are moving towards a situation whereby the iPad Pro becomes Apple's centerpiece. In the not-so-distant future, this iPad is ready for pro applications. Now, we didn't see any of those yesterday, but to me that makes perfect sense. As I said in my previous videos, I have very, very high expectations for WWDC in June, where I expect to see iPadOS 15 and where we expect to see pro apps for the iPad. Yesterday, we saw some developers on stage, one of which was LumaFusion. For those of you who don't know, this is definitely the #1 alternative to Final Cut Pro on the iPad right now. And the fact that Apple had them there at their event yesterday leads me to believe that something is cooking. Saran has mentioned several times that he thinks that Apple might be or should be buying LumaFusion and use it as a basis to work off of. Maybe that's it? I don't know, but something is coming and it's gonna be good. Alright, moving on to the Thunderbolt port, another huge one for me, as this instantly turns the iPad into a desktop alternative. We will now be able to hook it up to external screens the way it's supposed to be with a proper full screen experience. But we'll also be able to make use of the speed of the new ports to use fast SSD drives at full speed. And if Apple improves the file system, maybe in iOS 15, I'm confident that we will be able to work directly off of our SSDs, which is not only crucial for heavy video editing, but it also means that most of us won't need the 2 terabyte version, since the need for local storage will be reduced. There is only one Thunderbolt port, but because it is in fact a Thunderbolt port, I can't wait to hook it up to my CalDigit TS3 dock and see what all we can squeeze out of this bad boy. The display is exactly what we thought it would be, which is mini LED. Apple calls it Liquid Retina XDR because it's supposed to be on par with the XDR Pro displays, but it is made out of mini LEDs, so there you go. This is a cool feature and I'm sure it looks fantastic, but it's not something I get very excited about. What I do get excited about, and this might be only a minor feature to some people, is the fact that Apple finally addressed the issue of the front-facing camera. The camera will still be positioned at the top of the screen in portrait mode and not on the side as we were hoping, but Apple seems to have fixed the problem of looking like an idiot in video calls by making the selfie camera an ultra-wide camera and by a software innovation they call center stage, whereby you as a subject are placed in the center of the frame at all times, even when you're moving around. And while that last bit seems a bit gimmicky to me, I am very eager to test this camera in real life to see whether we can finally make our Zoom calls from our iPads and look normal doing it. What we didn't see is a new Apple Pencil, or at least not yet, and we did not see a new Magic Keyboard. And I guess people will have mixed feelings about this. I know a lot of you were anxious about having to invest into yet another very expensive keyboard accessory, so it's very nice to see that the new iPad Pro is compatible with the current Magic Keyboard. But it does also mean that for the time being, we'll have to continue living without the function key row, and that we'll still have to find a place to stick our Apple Pencils when we travel. I know what you're thinking, I'm not sticking it there. Guys, I can't wait to review all of this stuff for you. Feel free to subscribe if you want to tag along for the ride. And please, if the video was useful to you, give it one of these. It really helps. Thank you so much for watching and see you in the next one.